Hello everyone, welcome back to the final tier list of the year. We will be finishing up all the Sonic games that are left from the Meta era and the Renaissance era. So let's go ahead and get started, because unlike the other eras, I have actually played every single one of these games. So now let's begin with Sonic Colors. And I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for this, but I'm gonna put Sonic Colors in poggers. Some of it is because of how good the game is, but mostly is for personal reasons that I will get into. Now, Sonic Colors came out in 2010. This marked the beginning for a new era of Sonic, simply because they brought brand new voice actors. The entire 4Kids cast from the 2000s was gone, except for the voice actor of Eggman, and they brought in new ones. It also marked a shift of writing for Sonic, which became a lot more lighthearted throughout this era. And it also fully committed to a deal Sega made with Nintendo, which is to create Nintendo exclusive Sonic games for a few years. So yeah, Sonic Colors was something interesting, to say the least. I remember being absolutely hyped for this game when it was first announced, but unfortunately we didn't have the money for it, so we had to wait a while to get it. And when I started playing the game, I liked it. I had actual fun with the game. Let's get this out of the way. The writing of this game is cringeworthy. It's very cringeworthy. They leaned a lot more into heavy jokes rather than the more gritty and dark stories that they created in the 2000s. They created a much more lighter tone rather than the dark stories that they created in the 2000s. And unfortunately, they leaned a little too much into that, because there are jokes here that land. Actually, there are some jokes here that are good, but then they do this thing where they just drag it out too much, to the point where they just straight up explain the joke to you at times. And it's like, why are you explaining this to me? I'm not freaking Gen Alpha brain rot skibbity toilet weirdo. So why am I being explained all this garbage when all you had to do was just tell a quick joke, and that's it? Let the moment pass and keep going with the story. So yeah, lore and character development took a backseat for jokes and more lighthearted tones in this game, and it suffers because of it. I know that a lot of people do not like this game simply because the story was not good. One of the main reasons a lot of people don't like this game is because of the story, and I completely understand why. You could have told a lighthearted story, but that had, heart and meaning, especially between Sonic, Tails, and the Wisps. But unfortunately, they didn't do that. They kind of did that in the DS version, but not that much. So yeah. Now, there are good jokes over here, especially when you're playing the game. There is times where Eggman will get in the intercom and do this, this commercial voice about his park and its different rides and all the delicacies you can watch and stuff like that. Stuff like that is good because it's quick. and it doesn't distract you from the main thing, which is the game. Now the gameplay, it's fun. I like the wisps. I like how Sonic handles in this game. He's still stiff when you boost, but the weird thing about this game is that you barely boost, at least in the Wii version. The boost sections are mostly you going in a straight line, boosting through enemies, or drifting in curved areas with little to no obstacles on the way, or sometimes it's just both of those things combined. And that's it. After that, you are locked into 2D platforming sections, which is kind of crazy considering that this is technically a 3D Sonic game, but most of it is 2D, kind of slow platforming. Yeah, this game is a lot more slower. You take a lot more time with it, but I guess that's also a reason why you don't boost so much, is because the levels themselves are incredibly short. Acts 1 and 2 from each area is kind of normal level design from Sonic, which is about 3-ish minutes at best. But the rest, which is most of the levels, are bite size that last for about a minute. And some of these are okay, but a lot of these just kind of are like, why did you create this as a main level? This could have been a bonus level that you could have put in the multiplayer mode of this game, which is basically you and another player going through 2D, very blocky and simplistic levels, and that's about it, which is a nice little distraction, but not really by much. And I will say that this game is absolutely gorgeous for a late Wii title. This came out around the tail end of the Wii lifespan, and wow, it looks gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous game. I think it rivals Super Mario Galaxy 2 with how beautiful it looks, and Metroid Prime 3. It's a gorgeous looking game, and the music is fantastic. To this day, I still listen to Aquarium Park, Reach for the Stars, Speak with Your Heart, Tropical Resort. Love every single track of this game. Is very pop, is very electronic, and is very upbeat. It gets you going. And one thing that I will take away about the gameplay is the bosses themselves. They are incredibly easy to defeat, especially when you use the Wisp abilities. They go down in about 1 to 2 hits if you use the Wisps correctly. I'm not even kidding. And let's get to the Wisps themselves. They are fun. I like all of them. I like the gimmicks that they bring. I like how they open up the levels into many different paths that you can take. It's an evolution of the Sonic gameplay, which is, going as fast as you can and taking the fastest alternate route. The Wisps are what I feel is an evolution of that. If you could ever go fast in this game sometimes. Now, there are a lot of reasons to hate this game. Simplistic level design and the story and the characterization of some of these characters. But there's also a lot to like about this game. I will say that this game has some of the wildest switch-ups in the fandom. I remember people absolutely loving this game when it first came out, but now, like, around late 2010s, I started seeing this shift in the fanfare for Sonic Colors, where people just straight up started trashing it, saying that it was actually one of the worst Sonic games ever. And I was like, where did this switch up come from all of a sudden? I thought you guys liked this game. I liked the game since its release, so I never really had the switch up. I will agree that the story and the simplistic level design does take away from the game, but overall I do enjoy it, and a lot of that is for personal reasons, and how I will get into that. If you don't like mopey, woe is me, or you just think that this personal reason of why I really enjoy this game is cringe, you can skip to this section of the video and we can get right back into the rankings of the game. So way back then when I first got the game, I remember loving it a lot. I remember playing it a lot with my brother, and I also remember my dog, whose name was Spike. Now, Spike was my first pet. He was given to me He was a very chill dog who would also get jealous if you don't give him enough attention. He was very lovable. He was just an all-around great dog to have when you're a child. And I remember one of his favorite things to do was, to jump up into the couch, lay down, and watch me play games. And sometimes he would drift asleep, or sometimes he would just watch me all the way through. And I remember doing that a lot, especially with this game. There were times where I was playing the game and I would get the Spike Wisp, and the announcer would say Spike to announce that you got the power up. And me being a dumb child, I would say, haha, look at that, Spike, you're in the game. You're in the Sonic game, you're famous. And I would make that joke every single time I would get the Spike Wisp. It's cringe, but I was a child and I was having fun with the game while also enjoying the company of my pet dog. Unfortunately, around 2021, we unfortunately had to put Spike down because he was getting old, and dogs getting old their health worsens a lot, and unfortunately for Spike, his health was worsening a lot, especially even after we gave him medication and stuff like that. So we had to put him down, and that really shook me for a long time. Even that kind of shook me to the core. But every time I would play Sonic Colors and I would get the Spike Wisp, I would remember the times where I was a child and I was enjoying my time with Spike. So now this game not only does it remind me of good times of playing games, it also reminds me of the good times that I had with my pet dog Spike, which were some of the best 10 years of my life. So because of that, I put Sonic Colors in Poggers. You can disagree with me all you want, but it stays here. It has a special place in my heart. So now let's get to the next game, which is Sonic Generations, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this also in Poggers. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw in Sonic X Shadow Generations, which was the re-release of this game, which also gave us the Shadow Campaign portion of this game. So Sonic Generations is what I would like to call the perfection of the boost formula. You see, Sonic Unleashed introduced the boost formula into the 3D space of Sonic. Now, because of that, it still had a lot of flaws, and the level design was very linear-ish. And Sonic Colors did have alternating paths, but you barely boosted in that game and focused a lot more on platforming. Sonic Generations is the combination of those two, and the result is the best level design that I have seen in any Sonic game, period. Sonic is still stiff to control in this game, but the level design is not only where you can boost to your heart's content, but you can also do a lot of platforming that benefits from you taking your time. I will say that if you want to see more of like how beautifully the boost formula was done in this game, I highly recommend watching speedruns of it, of Sonic Generations or Shadow Generations, whichever it is. You go watch the speedrun videos of that, and you will see how wonderful just the game flows between the level design and the boost formula. It's amazing. Now, that's not to say the game is perfect. The game lacks originality, which that was the whole point of this game. It was you running through Sonic's past to fix his present, and that was the whole point of the story. So I don't really duck any points for Sonic Generations because of that. But I will duck points because of the story. The story is so non-existent, you almost forget there's even a story in this game. I'm not even kidding. There's like 2 to 3 cutscenes kind of explaining what's happening, and then the rest is just kind of modern and classic Sonic, modern and classic Tails just bantering with each other. While the occasional Time Eater encounter happens for like 5 seconds, and that's it. Until the very end of the game, where it's revealed that the Time Eater is controlled by both modern and classic Eggman, and the two Sonics have to team up and have to take them down to break the Time Eater and restore their timelines. And that's really about it. There's no, oh wow, look at this cool place, I remember being here before. There's like 2 cutscenes where the characters do that, and it's in Green Hill and Chemical Plant. And those are the only times where the characters reminisce about their past levels. It makes me wonder why they would do that, why they would start like, the cutscenes of the characters, remembering their past, to just then not finish that. It makes the story a lot emptier. Now with Shadow Generations, that's a whole different story. The plot there is beautiful, and it actually has a lot of emotion and heart. It's basically Shadow got caught in the middle of Time Eater's blast while he was chasing down Black Doom. It is here where he's reunited with a version of Maria and Gerald Robotnik that have not gone through the arc raid in 50 years ago. So here Shadow is trying to kind of find a way out of this white void, while also trying to, find a way where Maria and Gerald survive the arc raid. But they can't do that because Black Doom is the one that's holding that entire white void together, including keeping Maria and Gerald Robotnik in that respective void. Now, how does Black Doom hold everything together? How is he the anchor to this entire white void? That's something that the game never really explains, and I will say that's my only gripe with the story of Shadow Generations. But other than that, the rest of the story is very self-contained. You have very wonderful moments between Shadow, Maria, and Gerald, including the reason why Maria named Shadow, and basically the metaphor of Shadow putting his demons to rest and putting his past behind him, which was a character arc that happened in Shadow Generation, or Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06, but I feel like they did it best here in Shadow Generations. Now, those are my reasons why I put Sonic X Shadow Generations here. They are by far my favorite boost game in the entire Sonic franchise. Like, the level design, the story in Shadow Generations, and the music, the remixes of all the classics are wonderful. The boss fights are entertaining and fun and engaging, and the level design, I'm getting repetitive, but it's just chef's kiss. Now we're gonna go back downhill for a little bit. Sonic Lost World is not a bad game. It has things going for it, but overall it's just such a forgettable experience. It's so meh. It is the definition of throwing things at the wall and nothing sticking. This game brought in so many gimmicks, the run button, becoming a snowball for some reason, the return of mock speed sessions for a little bit, and flying around a sky level. This game was all over the place. The story was basically more non-existent than the one in Sonic Generations, if you can even believe that. The Sinister Six, the brand new baddies, I completely forgot about them. I don't really know what they are. I just remember them being the most one-dimensional, bare bones bad guys you can ever encounter in any game, to be honest. And it puzzles me that Sega keeps bringing these guys back, especially Zavik. Whether that is in a new side game or in a comic, I legit have no idea what Sega and or Sonic team sees in these characters, but they are by far the most forgettable in the Sonic franchise. The gameplay, like I said, is very gimmicky and all over the place, so you can't really pinpoint what you can like about the game, because that specific gimmick that you may like is gonna be gone by the next level. The graphics are good. Like, it's a beautiful Wii U game. The soundtrack is wonderful. It's great. But the characterization, again, is just put into a back seat, and the jokes are up and center in the stage. And man, these are even cringier than in Sonic Colors. I am not even kidding. It's so bad. There is this neat little part in the story where Sonic and Eggman team up to take down the Sinister Six, which I thought was cool, until they ruined it by making Tails into this jealous brat that keeps, chastising Sonic for working with Eggman. Like, why would Tails get jealous of Dr. Eggman, of all people? That was such a weird thing to do, and I think that this is where the characterization of characters just began to take a dip, because the characters really didn't start acting like people that have gone through all these different adventures since the Genesis era, but instead started acting to whatever the plot required them to act like. Case in point, Tails being jealous of their arch nemesis. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, I can't really say anything else about this game because, I mean, like, it's just so forgettable. It tried so many things and none of them really stuck for me. The only thing that I really liked was the final boss fight, and that was mostly because of the music that plays throughout the final boss, which is a great Sonic song, which is like probably one of my all-time favorites. But other than that, it's just a reskin of the final boss of Sonic Colors, and that was it. So yeah. Before I forget, yeah, there's Cyndaquil level design for Sonic, which I guess is cool. Yeah, it's cool for a little bit. But then after that, it just kind of gets a little nauseous, especially with someone as fast as Sonic. Switching so many perspectives so fast in this kind of level design was kind of nauseating, not gonna lie. Now we got two more games, and that is Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces. We are going to talk about Sonic Mania first because it came out first, and technically in the Sonic canon timeline, it takes place right before Sonic Forces. With that being said, this game is amazing. I absolutely adore it. It was a wonderful return to the classic era of Sonic games. Just pure 2D high-speed platforming goodness, not only with Sonic, but with returning characters like Tails and Knuckles, which was the first time you could play as someone other than Sonic since Sonic Heroes, since Sonic and the Black Knight, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, the return to form was amazing. Everybody was so much more fluid than in the Genesis era. And with DLC, they brought back forgotten Sonic characters, which was Mighty the Armadillo and that yellow flying squirrel whose name I can't remember. I think his name was Ray. But yeah, forgotten characters that we haven't seen since a freaking arcade game made a return to this game to just have a lot of fun. This game is just a great time from beginning to end. The story is very simplistic to, cater to the classic era where it was just the story told through the gameplay with no dialogue whatsoever and just pure animations. The level design is wonderful. Yes, most of the stages here are just remakes of classic stages, but the level design in those classic stages are amazing and cater to every single character that they added into the game. And the new areas like Studiopolis, which has become one of my favorite Sonic stages of all time, are incredible. The music is amazing. T-Lopes did an incredible job. Not only remixing classic songs, but also making brand new ones like Studiopolis. I'm not gonna shut up about Studiopolis. It was the highlight for me in this game. The bosses again are very fun and engaging, and the only bad thing that I can say about this game is that it's tied to Sonic Forces, and that's basically it. If it was self-contained and its own thing, I wouldn't mind it, but since this was technically a tie-in to Sonic Forces, it kind of brings it down for me because of how disappointing Sonic Forces was for me. But other than that, this game was just amazing. There's really not much to say. It's a short game, but wow, this is such a fun one. And it has high replay value with with all 5, if you can believe it, 5 playable characters. So now, you gotta go back to garbage. And man, oh man, this game was such garbage. Sonic Forces was way too hyped. It was way too overhyped by Sega. They literally, to try and have good faith with the fan base, in their first trailer, they put from the creators of Sonic Colors and Generations, which back then was their like magnum opus, because those 2 games were literally appraised by all Sonic fans. So they used that into the marketing to hype up Sonic Forces, saying that this is a sequel or a spiritual successor to those games as sorts. It once again brought back classic stages, which at this point was getting very repetitive and tedious, especially since Sonic Mania, which did the exact same thing, came out just literally a few months before the game of Sonic Forces. So seeing classic stages again was very disappointing for me. They also said that this was a return to the dark and gritty storylines from the 2000s, and that also got people intrigued. But what also made people question things was the return of classic Sonic, which back then in Sonic Generations was a noble idea. It was a nice little callback to the classic era, which made sense within Sonic Generations. Classic Sonic should have stayed in Sonic Generations only between the modern era, because he was a representation of the past that should be celebrated, and that makes sense. But here in Forces, he just comes back again for whatever reason. And not only that, but you also have a 3rd playable character, which honestly got made fun of a lot, but I thought was honestly kind of cool that they did, because you know the Sonic fandom. You know how they are well known for their cringy OCs. Sonic Team decided to relish in that part of the fandom and made the 3rd playable character the OC. You can create your own character and play in a Sonic game, which was like, oh, okay, that's actually very smart of them to do. Because for years, people have asked if they could create their own Sonic character in a Sonic game and play it. And, you know, showing that they did that, yeah, it was funny. That, haha, now we're gonna get some of the most cringe-worthy characters of all time within this game. But it was also very smart of them to do, especially since it was a highly requested thing. They brought in a brand new character called Infinite, which was supposed to be the big bad of the game. Once again, catering back to the gritty and dark storylines of the 2000s, where Dr. Eggman was more of a side villain, and he kind of was the main one until the final one revealed itself and took center stage. Now, all these different things, all the different trailers, everything that was shown to us, people were worried, to say the least. I remember seeing a video about saying that Sonic Forces' trailer was worrying news simply because of the classic Sonic inclusion. And wow, were those worries fully realized in the final release. It's wow. The story, bare bones. Bare freaking bones. It was barely a thing. Basically, Dr. Eggman takes over the world, takes Sonic prisoner, and now Sonic's friends are creating a resistance, which your OC joins, and now you have to team up with them to take down Eggman and his empire, while also trying to take down the brand new baddie called Infinite. Oh man, where do I even begin? So let's begin with how, even though they're trying to do a dark and gritty storyline, they are still trying to do the same cringy jokes front, stage, and center that they did all the way back in Sonic Colors for some reason. And that clashes so much with the overall feel of the game, because you can literally watch an entire squad of Sonic characters get blasted by Infinite in a flashback, and then literally 2 cutscenes later you can see Sonic make jokes at the expense of Zavok. Which by the way, there are returning villains in this game, and one of them is Zavok. Yeah. So yeah, the tone was confusing. Was it trying to be serious, or was it trying to be lighthearted? Nobody really knew. I don't think even Sonic team even knew themselves. The level design, oh brother, oh brother. If you thought the level design in Sonic Colors was simplistic, you have not played this game yet. Want me to tell you a good example? There are multiple levels in this game where you can beat by only pressing the boost button. I am not even kidding. Multiple levels you can do by only using one hand in the controller. I am not kidding. There are videos out there that show you how to do it. It is ridiculously easy how they do it. And I tried it, and I did it, and I was like, what is going on? What happened to the polished level design of Generations? How did it get dumbed down so much like this? Because I was one of the boost defenders. I was like, I thought that, the whole argument of press X to win, or press the boost button to win, was such a ridiculous and just overall rage baity argument that many fans of the Sonic fandom brought up since the boost became a thing in the 3D Sonic games. I thought it was ridiculous. And then I played this game, and that argument sums up modern Sonic's level design to a freaking T. It is literally press boost to win, and that's it. There are multiple areas in the game where all you're doing is boosting through a wave of enemies, and there's little to no resistance or obstacles at all. It is so boring. There are a couple levels that actually try to do something, but for some reason they decide to take the level philosophy of Colors and make the levels extremely short. But I swear they are even shorter on Forces than they are on Colors. I am not even kidding. They are literally the length of a freaking YouTube short. That is saying something. Classic Sonic, he did not need to be in this game whatsoever. His plot relevance is non-existent. You can literally take him out of the story and nothing would change. He is a nothing burger here. And his gameplay, oh my goodness, they butchered him from Generations. He feels so weird. Sometimes he's heavy, sometimes he's light. Sometimes he will miss a jump that you swear you could have made. And then other times he would overshoot a gap and go into the next gap. It's so inconsistent that I legit just do not like classic Sonic in this game. In Generations, I liked him. I didn't think he was the highlight of the game, but he was a fun little addition. In Forces, oh my goodness, this guy is insufferable for me. And tell me why Sonic Team, in their infinite wisdom, did they decide to make auto-scrolling levels for a Sonic game. Auto-scrolling levels where the camera literally goes from left to right and you have to stay within the borders of the camera, otherwise you die. And that's it. There's no high speed in those areas whatsoever. It's literally you waiting for the camera to keep going right until you can see a platform. And that's it. Wow, that is beyond awful. Now, whenever I finished this game and tried the bonus levels, I did not touch Classic Sonic at all after completing them. I did not touch him. I could not touch him. I refused to touch him. I genuinely did not like his gameplay style. And now for the OC, I think he is the best gameplay style of Forces, but that is not saying much. Because he basically is just modern Sonic with a slower homing attack, the Wisp abilities, but they're kind of just brought as Wispins, which is a mix between a weapon and a wisp. So you can have a flamethrower or an electric lasso or a literal drill as a weapon in this game for your OC. And you can see wisp capsules scattered around the level. And whichever Wispin you take to that level can let you access different paths to complete the level. But these alternating paths are basically the equivalent of you just saving about 5 seconds in a level overall time, and that's it. The Wispins bring some kind of replayability, but it's really not much. And there are many times where you are going to do QTEs. I don't know why they brought QTEs into this game. They mean absolutely nothing, and most of them could have just been gameplay sections to the overall level, other than you just waiting to press a button at the right time. It's so bad. And there are times where you play levels as both the modern Sonic and your OC, and wow, they are even more linear. And the double boost is just an over-glorified cutscene. That's about it. It tried to be cool, and it wasn't. And wow, the soundtrack of this game was weak. There are good tracks in the Forces soundtrack, but overall this was just a downgrade from what we got before, to be honest. Especially the main theme. Fist Bump is so cringeworthy every time it played. It's just like I would have honestly, I was debating to just turn off the music whenever it played. I'm not even kidding. The final boss is yet another Nega Wisp clone from Colors, and that's basically it. This game was such a bore for me, where in Sonic and the Secret Rings I can at least find a lot of some parts very enjoyable. Here the enjoyable parts last so little that they might as well just not be there. And the rest that is there is just boring copy paste level design, boss design, and questionable at best characterization of some of these characters. Seriously, Tails got butchered in this game. I am not even kidding. It was bad. It was real bad. So, yeah, big disappointment, big bore of a game. Never touching it. Now we go to the final Sonic game, and that is Sonic Frontiers. Now this game is quite surprisingly polarizing for people. Some people say it's great, some people say it's mid, and even a fewer say it's just straight up bad. Me, I think this is by far the best Sonic game we've gotten. Well, I know, very, very bold hot take there, but let me explain my reasonings. The story and the characterization are finally brought to the forefront, and they put actual effort. No longer are the times where characters are literally only characterized to fit what the story wanted them to do. They are now fully realized characters that you feel like they have been through so much and they have grown from it. You see that in Sonic Frontiers. Every interaction between Sonic and his friends in this game is wonderful. Sonic being the anchor of the group and helping his friends realize their potential, like Amy finally not being obsessed with Sonic and going out into the world and sharing the love that she has to others, is wonderful. Is a great continuation of her character from a love-struck teenager from the adventure eras. Tails, they actually talked about his misuse of his character, from how he literally cowered from chaos in Sonic Forces, where in Sonic Adventure he literally fought chaos multiple times. They actually brought that as a plot point to Tails' character, and I like that. I like how they made Tails frustrated about how inconsistent he can be, and Sonic, being a good friend, wrangles him back, saying that, hey, you are brave, you have done so much good, and you did it by yourself. You need to believe in yourself a lot more. And because of that, Tails decides, you know what, you're right, but I can't be in your shadow all the time. I want to become my own hero, and I want you to see how much of a great hero I can become by myself. And by the end of the game, he tries to go out on his own to do that. And that's great. I like that. With Knuckles, you talk about how he is the last of his kind and how lonely he feels, and how he feels that he doesn't really have much purpose other than being the guardian of the Master Emerald. But here, he's taught by Sonic that not only is he not alone, but he can rely on others to help him and give him purpose other than what he was given since the conception of his character. And that's wonderful. Even the brand new character here, Sage, has a character arc from a robotic AI that was created only to control ancient civilizations' robots, becomes more human as the story progresses, and she kind of gets this bond with Eggman of a father-daughter bond, and that's very beautiful to see. And the story of of the Chaos people about how they were from actually another planet, not corrupted Chow, like many people theorize. They fled from an impending doom and got to Earth and found the Master Emerald. But not only that, we actually see the origins of the Chaos Emeralds, being that they were actually a part of that Chaos world that the Chaos people fled from. They took the Chaos Emeralds with them, and the reason why they found the Master Emerald was because the Chaos Emeralds themselves reacted to the chaotic energy from the Master Emerald. And that is wonderful. I love the story of this game. It is by far my favorite story in any Sonic game, period. I like the characterization of every single character here. I like their character arcs, and I like the overall payoff of the story for the DLC. We'll get to the original ending in a little bit. Now, the level design, this one is more weird to say the least, because this was the first time when Sonic Team decided to create an open world Sonic game, or open zone as they call it, meaning that you are thrown into 5 different hub worlds, and those hub worlds are basically a sandbox full of geometry and platforming that you can take to, play around. Some of these are good, but others are pretty bad, like the volcano level, where they really rely on locking you on 2D sections in parts of that hub world just to get a MacGuffin. Yeah, those were weird and unnecessary. The 4th world is barely a hub. There's barely anything in there. And the 5th world is just a reskin of the first one. But overall, I do like the concept of the open zone. I feel like there's good potential here that Sonic Team can take and improve upon, which is something that they said that they would do, because apparently Sonic Frontiers is the blueprint for their brand new era of Sonic games going forward, according to them. And if they do it right and they go the Generations route, where they improved it upon and made it into a perfect platformer that brought this brand new game gimmick into it, I feel like they got something really special. Now, there is platform in this game, but it is mainly a combat game, meaning you have combos, you have different fighting abilities with Sonic and Amy and Knuckles and Tails, and you have a basically bar meter that can fill up, and you can do even more abilities, superpowered abilities, if you will. So yeah, this very much leaned into the combat, and I did enjoy it, but I will say a lot of it is very automated. There is barely any combos, and the ones that you do get are very cutscene-y, which means that you do a combo input, and the combo would play as kind of a cutscene, not as you doing a little animation and keeping the combo going, if you catch my drift. It's not like Mortal Kombat where you do a little input and then you chain that input into another, and then you keep that combo going with different inputs. It's not like that. It's very simplistic and it's very cutscene heavy. I will say, I do like the concept of the combat here. I like its concept, especially with different playable characters getting their own specialized combos. I like that. I really hope Sonic Team takes the time to improve upon what they got here in Sonic Frontiers and expand it, improve it, and perfect it like they did with Generations and the boost formula. There are cyberspace stages. Cyberspace stages are basically the return to form to like the platforming that we've been used to from Sonic Frontiers since the beginning of the boost era. And yeah, they're short, but they have different challenges. You see, what they did with the cyberspace stages is that yes, they are short, and they just straight up took level design from different past Sonic games and made them into different sections as cyberspace stages, and that was basically it. And the cyberspace stages can get repetitive, especially because they only have 3 different biomes. One of them is, of course, the Green Hill biome. The second one is the city biome that's more like Sonic Adventure 2. And the third one is the Angel Island hub, or Angel Island biome, which is from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So all the stages pretty much look the same. They are very short, and honestly, the challenges that they give you to 100% those stages are honestly not enough to give them replay value until the DLC. We'll get to that when we get to that. Now, let's talk about the real highlight, like the big highlight that made people really like this game, which is the boss fights and the music. The music went back to, it was still like EDM-ish, but they brought a lot of rock back from the adventure areas. Like, you listen to the heavy rock that they brought into Frontiers, and it's like, oh yeah, it's like the adventure era games. But wow, the music in this game, especially during the boss fights. Let's talk about the boss fights. I regret that I will never be able to feel what I felt when I first saw Giganto and got the final Chaos Emerald, Sonic transforming for the first time into Super Sonic, and then Undefeatable starting to play. That feeling was freaking amazing, and I hate the fact that I will never be able to experience that ever again. It was such a great introduction into what this game had to offer. Giganto is the perfect intro boss that I have ever fought. The music is amazing. The combos, while simplistic, feel very impact-y and punchy. You feel the impact of every combo that Sonic throws into these beasts as Super Sonic. It's just a great time. It definitely caters to that Metal Gear Rising, type of boss fights, where it was very energetic and combo heavy, while also having those QTEs that played into the fight. Now, yes, they are QTEs in this game, but they are very few and far between. They are very rare, to be honest. But they are there, and they actually feed into the fight a little bit. They make the fights a lot more bombastic, cinematic. It's not like in Sonic Forces, where you literally saw no point in putting QTEs, where it made you question why were they even there to begin with. In here, they actually continue the fight into a more cinematic route, and I like that. Now, the boss fights are amazing until you get to the original final boss of this game. The End, which is just a moon in this game, is the final boss, and it is basically just a Space Invaders shoot 'em up. That's it. That's literally it. You are Supersonic and Sage that takes control of the final Titan. You go up into space, and then it just becomes Space Invaders. It was such a tonal whiplash in gameplay that it seriously made me wonder if this was truly the final boss. And when the credits started rolling, I was aghast as to why they decided that this was supposed to be the closing boss fight and the final act that would close this game off in a good way. It did not. I left with a sour taste in my mouth after completing the final boss, the original one. And many people took that and complained a lot, which was very understandable, because that boss fight was just so out of nowhere and just not necessary that I think Sega and Sonic Team took account of that and made the DLC the Final Horizon, if I'm not mistaken, and they completely revamped the final boss there. Not only did they give us playable characters as Amy, Knuckles, and Tails, which all played great. I liked playing them. It was really cool. They also gave us a revamped final island. I think the name was Oronos Island. And the final boss gone is Space Invaders. And they just fully went into the shonen anime route where Sonic gets a brand new transformation called, well, there's really not an official name to it, but people just call it Super Sonic 2 because that's basically what it looks like. Now what the final boss is, it's I will say that they do not do a good job explaining what the final boss does. It kind of is just trial and error for your first playthrough, but once you like get the hang of how to fight the final boss, it becomes such a joy that it basically became my favorite final boss in any Sonic game. Where in most of final bosses is basically you kind of running into the boss and booping them in the head or just waiting for an opening to jump on them. This one is more into, cinematic. Sonic has to do many different things like side loop the cable connection thing that the final boss has to the moon, so you can actually do some damage to it. Then you have to, do combos to damage it, but you also have to take into account that the boss will sometimes shoot little laser balls at you that you have to parry, otherwise your ring count will go down a lot. And there's also times where he will attack you, and then if you miss the parry, you will be locked into a QTE where you have to, complete the QTE, or you will take a lot more damage. And that's cool. I like that. I like that it's no longer, running into an enemy anymore. You have to do many different things to defeat this boss. And once you get it down to certain health, it'll start doing different things like attack your friends that are having a force field around this thing to just kind of contain it. Because around once you take it down to half health, it starts shooting all over the place, and Sage, seeing the imminent danger to her unofficial father, which is Eggman, that decides to create a force field, and Knuckles, Amy, and Tails support that and reinforce that shield. So now you have to kind of sidestep up into the final boss when it starts to freak out with his arms and parry those arms to make sure he doesn't break the shield, because if he does, it's just an instant game over. So the boss is constantly evolving as you progress through it. And then if you get hit with a laser ball after getting it down to half health, Sonic will enter this actually really cool cutscene where he gets hit by a not spirit ball, or spirit bomb, sorry, and he de-transforms from Supersonic 2 into Supersonic 1 into his base form. He loses a lot of rings, then he blows up the spirit bomb and transforms back into Supersonic 2 in this very cool cutscene. I'm not doing enough justice describing this boss. You honestly just have to play it and experience it for your own. Especially during the end. I can gush all over how amazing this final boss is, but I think I've done enough and I have overextended this video a lot. So to just keep a nice concise time, I will just say that the final boss is amazing and worth the DLC, to be honest, which is free, by the way. The final DLC was 100% free, so you get 3 new playable characters, a revamped open zone, and a revamped final boss that's just straight up shonen anime, like Dragon Ball and One Piece. If you know, you know. And it just completes Sonic Frontiers as my favorite Sonic game ever. So yeah, that is my ranking of almost all the mainline Sonic games. There are games that I have not played, but I may play sometime and put them here in the distant future. But overall, Sonic the Hedgehog is a very, very flawed franchise. It had its ups, it had its downs, it had its incredible reign in the 90s, is fall from grace in the 2000s, then the return to form in the late 2010s to the early 2020s. It's a roller coaster, but honestly it has been a wonderful time to be a Sonic fan and playing these games. It's honestly a great time. Even Sonic at his worst, you can find things that you can like and make fun of. So it's great to see that even at Sonic's lowest point, the fan base can find something good out of it, especially in the modding community with Project 06, Shadow the Hedgehog revamped or revisited. I don't remember the name, but yeah. I love Sonic. Sonic is what introduced me to video games, so I will continue to be a Sonic fan until the end of days. So yeah, that has been my tier list of Sonic games. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. I want to see all your opinions of all Sonic games. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day and or night, and I will see you all later. Goodbye.